everybody, it's Christy Scott and I'm here to do another Stitch Along With Me video. I haven't gotten a lot of cross stitch done since the last time I did a video. I can't remember exactly where I left off, but I will show you my progress on Pretty Little DC. Been working on my second building. It's coming along pretty well, I think. So I have lots more to do. Pretty sure, in case you haven't seen previous videos to see what it looks like completed. So I've done not even a third yet. And my sister-in-law's birthday is coming up toward the end of July, right, honey?
Yes.
My husband's cooking dinner right now, so.
Hello.
So I don't know that I'll finish by then because it's about 6 weeks away now probably, and I'm just not getting that much stitching time, so it may have to be postponed as a Christmas gift, but that's all right. Kind of figured that might happen because I just don't get a lot of time to work on my hobbies. But anywho, it's also a good excuse for me to sit here and make another video and kind of catch you up. I've been doing a lot. Been really busy. So the last time I made a video, I was in Michigan and getting ready to go to Florida to visit my friend. And then my husband was going to be moving our RV from Michigan to Illinois while I was in Florida, and then we were going to be having some time in Illinois. So all of that has happened, and I have lots and lots to fill you in on. But before I do, I just really want to share like the good news that's on my mind right now. For those of you who have been following along and know that my husband and I are working with a surrogacy agency to try to have children, and we finally made our first contact with the agency. We've gone through all of our testing and things with the actual clinic, but once they determined that we really couldn't use our friend as our gestational carrier that we wanted to use, they wanted to set us up with this agency to pick out someone and move forward. And that has been about 6 weeks ago now probably, but we just have had so much going on and we were kind of waiting for things to settle down before we made that initial contact. So we are currently on the road to Washington State and having some long driving days. I was thinking about putting it off until we got there, but I decided yesterday to just go for it and make the call. And so we ended up receiving our questionnaire with all of our background information, medical history, you know, wants and stuff, everything that you might need to know about us. We received that yesterday and we started filling it out, but she went ahead and set up a conference call for us today. And she said she didn't need the paperwork first. So we decided, great, we'll do that. We'll go ahead and put aside the time for the conference call. So even though we were kind of on the road today, we just pulled over and talked with them for a while. And it was kind of funny. I have been, I guess, a little anxious and nervous because of our full-time RVing lifestyle. I had this concern like it might be similar to an adoption agency where they're really evaluating you and whether or not you should be a parent to the child. And I know that adoption would really not be right for us right now because the view on our lifestyle is very different from how we see it and what we're living. Some people view it as being homeless or unstable or just not settled down or not a good stable home environment. And so I had this twinge of nervousness and anxiety that talking with a surrogacy agency would feel like that. Like, I figured they probably can't say no because this is something you're paying for and it's still your own child. at least the way we're doing it, but I really wasn't sure. I don't really know how it works, and I was just really nervous because I don't want there to be more roadblocks to us starting a family. So that's been weighing on me, and I figured I might as well get it over with and find out what was going to happen. But it's really funny because there was such a drastically opposite reaction than what I was expecting. By the time we spoke with them, they had already figured out that we had a YouTube channel and make videos as Spot the Scots, and that we're full-time RVers, and the ladies at the agency watched a bunch of our videos, including the one that we made about what we wanted to find in a surrogate. So I felt really exposed for a minute, like, oh my gosh, they already know all this stuff about me, or about us, and what are they gonna think? But the reaction was so positive. They loved it. They said they wanted to kick back with their popcorn and watch our stuff, and that it was really entertaining, and they said that they love the lifestyle we've chosen and think it's amazing. Just that we're really, really cool, and that we would be great parents. They could tell from our videos that we've put a lot of thought into starting a family and put a lot of thought into the relationship we want to have with a surrogate. Man, my nose is itchy. I have to keep scratching it. And so they said that really that's a lot more preparation than they tend to see with a lot of couples, and basically it was all really positive. So I had to breathe a huge sigh of relief. Just didn't have to feel like we were having to defend ourselves for what we do and what we've chosen in life. Then on top of that, they went very, very thoroughly through the entire process as far as the agency goes. We've been explained the entire process from our clinic and our doctor, but that's sort of one angle of the situation, whereas the process with the surrogacy agency and one-on-one with the surrogate is a whole other side of the process. So they went through that really at length and very clearly. Took lots of notes, and we can ask questions anytime, but it sounds pretty straightforward. And without even really waiting, because they already watched our videos yesterday, and they started going through profiles of gestational carriers that they have in their database, and they already picked out 2 very strong possibilities for us to consider. So that was really exciting. There aren't going to be as many choices for 2 reasons. One is because this is a smaller agency that really weeds out a lot of people. They don't accept that many gestational carriers because they have to be not only medically and psychologically screened, but they only choose people whose heart's really in the right place, and they're not just in it for the money, and really, really want to help other people. So they have already less choices to begin with. And then the fact that we very much want to aim for twins is a really huge factor, because there are not that many gestational carriers out there willing to carry multiples. So right now in their agency, there's only 2 people for us to consider. If they did not pan out, we could either change our minds and be willing to do 1 child at a time, or they said they can also do sort of an advertising option where basically they put our information out there and try to find a surrogate that would want to join their agency specifically to work with us, which is very encouraging that that option is there. Thanks for shaking everything, Phoebe.
She just wants to help.
I know. It's very encouraging that that option is there. It just would slow the timeline down a lot. My cat knows how to make trouble. It would slow the time down a lot, because she said that they have like a 3-month long. You see what I have to deal with around here?
This is real life.
This is real life.
Real life in the
Do
Scott
not
household.
lick my yarn. Okay? Just sit right there.
And see, we want kids. We have a cat. That's bad enough.
She's going to sit on my pattern for me. Good paperweight. So they have about a 3-month screening process. before they approve someone to be a gestational carrier with their agency. So, you know, we'd have to go through a little bit more of a process. So obviously it would be really great if it worked out with one of these first two initial choices. If not, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But overall, I'm just really excited that it's moving forward. We've already gotten to read the profiles of the two ladies, and we've been talking about it a lot. And so we came home, you know, once we finished driving for the day, we completed our questionnaire, wrote our letter to our potential carrier, and chose a bunch of photos to go with it that kind of show us and the kids and who we are and our traveling life, and sent that off to the agency. So I'm just feeling awesome, like totally on top of the world, because this is something that's been very daunting to me for a very long time. And I've just been nervous about the reactions and the process and how it would all go. Of course, there's a lot of steps left, and every step in the process is probably going to carry some of those feelings. Like, oh, is this going to be the roadblock that puts a big hold on things? But right now, it doesn't even matter. The process has started, and that in and of itself, it just feels very good. So even though that happened today, and I'm going to go back and fill you in on everything else, I just really wanted to share that because it's been a good day. We got to stop driving early today, which gave me time to sit here and do this with you all. So I'm sorry that it has been quite some time. I think it's been going on a couple of weeks now since you've heard from me, and I know I've been hearing from you all that you really like these videos, and you probably would like them every week or maybe more. I have to say, I'm not sure that I would be able to think of that many things to talk about for an hour if I was doing them a couple of times a week. Right now, part of the reason, besides being busy, that I wait so long is to kind of let things build up so that I have more to say. But because I don't want to just sit here like struggling to think of what to tell all of you. But we'll see. We'll see if maybe in the future I can find a way to make them more often, or at least come up with some other topics and things to show you, like I did with my little video about my craft stash here in the RV. At least I managed to get that one done before I went off to Florida. So I guess that's what I'll backtrack to, is going to Florida, because that's sort of where I left off with you guys, as I was going to be on my way there. My friend that I went to visit, her name is Amber, and we have been friends for 22 years, which makes me sound a lot older than I really am, but we were 11 when we met. And we've been friends sort of that lost touch for a long time, and came back into each other's lives about 7 years ago. And she's a very dear friend of mine, and she lives out in Florida, and decided I should come visit and let her show me St. Augustine, which is one of her favorite places to visit out there. And so I flew out on the 2nd, and we stayed at this cute little purple cottage that we found on VRBO, and it was right in the downtown kind of area, just outside of downtown, so we were able to walk into town to do everything we wanted to do. And by the way, there are a couple of videos up about St. Augustine already on my Spot the Scots channel, so feel free to check those out after you're done hearing about this. And there will be a third one going up soon, might even be up by the time you see this video. But we got to walk into town, visit all kinds of cute little shops. Everything about it was perfect except for, I would say, the weather. It was just very, very humid. I can't even say the temperature was that high because it was probably in the 80s, but the humidity there is unbelievable. Coming from Colorado, I've already had to make a huge adjustment to the Midwest humidity, which I grew up with and was not happy to return to. But Florida is like a whole other level. It's pretty much on par with Houston, I would say, right, Annie?
Yes, I would say so.
We've had to spend a lot of time in Houston, but Florida in June, not a great idea. I probably won't do that again. But we kind of circumvented it. We would go out in the morning and walk around until like about lunchtime or an hour or two after, and then we'd go home to our little cottage until after dinner and then go back out. So we tried to sort of hibernate in the air conditioning at the really worst part of the day. But I was still just sweating buckets everywhere that I went. The town was awesome. I mean, it's a town full of history, which is not really one of my passions or one of my things, but when you are right there in it, it's always extremely beautiful and interesting. So I really appreciated seeing everything that was around me there. It's also just a very cute town to walk around. Lots of shops and restaurants. It's right by the water, so it's just a really quaint place to visit, I would say. Has a very active nightlife, but that's not really our style, so we didn't really go out and do the bar thing at all. We chose to stay in and drink homemade mules in Amber's copper mugs, which were awesome, by the way. But we're not much of drinkers or partiers or anything like that. And mostly enjoyed going to the shops and then just spending time together, trying different things, you know, different food and beverage places. Amber cooked a lot of wonderful meals for us, and we did some crafting. I did work on this some in Florida, so you probably, actually, now that I think about it, did see quite a bit of progress because I did a bit when I was there. And then she was working on some of her knitting while we were there, and we did a lot of gabbing and catching up and talking girl things. So it was really, really, really good. As far as visiting shops, there were some definite highlights. My lovely husband was the, I guess, recipient or the person that got the most out of my visit there because I spent most of my spending money in this awesome spice and tea shop that Amber took me to.
This wonderful woman got me bags and bags of spices.
I did.
Awesome.
Hi.
Oh, hi. Bye.
I did. I got him a lot of spices.
Bags and bags.
Well, and I should share part of the reason why. So, while I was off in Florida enjoying myself, as I said, Brian was moving the RV from Michigan to Illinois. But before he did that, he had all these chores to do. Like, he had to get all new tires on the RV, and we had really wanted to stock up on meat at this awesome meat market there. The prices were phenomenal, and the meat is very good quality. And we had an empty freezer, so hubby stocked up, and he sent me photos of how much meat he bought and stuffed into our freezer. Like, we can't even put vegetables in there because it's so full.
Who needs vegetables? We have meat.
So when I went into this spice shop, that was fresh on my mind from the previous evening of him showing me all of this. So I went in there and thought, okay, we have all this meat, and it's only a few different kinds of meat, maybe 5 different kinds or something. So, you know, we don't want to get bored. We don't want to cook the same things over and over again to use all this meat. It's going to also save us a lot of money on groceries for a while. So when I went into this spice shop, I thought first, oh, he's going to like this. I should bring him some stuff. And then I thought I should bring him a lot of stuff for all different kinds of meat, because that would give us a lot of variety in what we're going to be having. And it would just be fun for him cooking all these meats with all these different spices and flavors. So I kind of went a little nuts, and you can see that in the video on Spot the Scots too if you want. But I bought him tons of spices for everything under the sun. I also bought 3 different teas. I love tea, hot or iced, and all different flavors. So I bought myself a ginger turmeric tea, which is excellent for arthritis pain. And then 2 just really delicious smelling ones, a peach one and a berry one. I think the berry one is a berry white tea, because I remember Brian making a bunch of berry white jokes. So those have been really good so far. But yeah, I blew a bunch of my spending budget there. But it's okay, because my hubby is very happy with what I brought him. if you couldn't tell. Another big, I don't know, like a really fun stop for me was this gourmet popsicle place called Hippo, but it's spelled with a Y. And they just have these incredible ice pop flavors. You'll have to watch that video. It shows a lot of the flavors. But I had a blackberry limeade one and a peach one. And they were just phenomenal. That was something that Amber had had before and wanted to show me and have me try. And it was just really good. But I think my favorite find the whole time, and I'm going to pronounce it right this time because my Aussie friend corrected me, Kookaburra, which is a coffee shop, and it also makes Aussie pies there, but I'm gluten-free now, so I couldn't have those. I really wanted to as well because I have a friend who's had the pies in New Zealand that has been telling me for years how much I would love them, but anywho, I had to stick to the coffee. I was very delighted as someone who's also trying not to have much in the way of dairy, that they had both coconut and almond milk as choices, as well as soy, but I'm not as much of a soy fan. So I tried, the first day we went in there, I tried an iced mocha nut, which was mocha and coconut in a latte, made with coconut milk, nice and cold on a hot day. It was delicious. It's like, I'm the biggest Starbucks fan on earth pretty much, but this was incredible, like better than anything I've ever had. I absolutely loved it. And even Amber, who does not drink coffee, she is like all about tea and really doesn't drink coffee. She loved hers as well, and we ended up going back. So that was the first day there. We went back twice the next day, and then again on the day that I left. So, it's safe to say we loved it. We really, really did. And they're only in St. Augustine and St. Augustine Beach, so I don't think I'll be getting it anytime soon until I go back to St. Augustine, but wow, it was so good. Just awesome. So, oh boy, I gotta find where I left off here. So we had a wonderful time. We also went to the beach, and we both came home with a little souvenir of just tremendous sunburns. And really have no idea how it happened because we wore sunscreen and we weren't there that long. And I usually burn, but I was wearing a really good amount of sunscreen. And Amber does not usually burn, and she got it pretty good too. So I'm still peeling. It's been almost 2 weeks. I'm still peeling. What can I do about that? This summer is going to be cruel to me, I'm sure. Oh, and back on the issue of shops, because I forgot to mention this. So we also went to, the same day that we went to the spice shop, we went to a yarn shop. So, did your ears just perk up, ladies? Because I know some of you like to play with yarn. And do other hobbies besides cross stitching. So we went to a yarn shop, and I figured I would just look around. As I've told you guys before in my videos, I do knit and crochet but have not touched them in a while. I haven't felt like it since my dad died. I just haven't had like kind of the oomph and the desire. So I wasn't expecting to buy anything. And I wasn't really expecting to feel the urge to make anything, but I thought it would just be fun to look and maybe kind of like bring some of those feelings back a little bit. But I ended up seeing this pretty amazing one skein project, which that appeals to me right off the bat because one, I don't have to invest very much money, and two, I don't have to invest very much time. Which also right now translates into I might actually have a chance of doing it and getting it done. So, sorry, I'm trying to rethread this and it is just not cooperating with me at all this time. I feel like it's always like that on video because I like feel this pressure to perform. So, yeah, it's just really not cooperating with me at all right now. And I want to show you this yarn, but I have to get this freaking thing threaded. Okay. I'll just leave that there for a second. So, beautiful one skein project. It's a cowl with like these bumps on it. It looked really cool. And she said it was so easy because it uses this yarn that's both fat and skinny. And that all you have to do is knit when it's skinny and purl when it's fat. And then she just tells you how much to cast on and stuff. So I thought, okay, that's super easy. I don't have to look at a pattern. I don't have to think about the stitches. That's quick, like a day or two. So I thought, let's go ahead and buy this yarn and try to do this project. I have a friend that I would love to make it for. And that maybe that will sort of like spark things and kind of get me getting back into it. So let me show you the yarn nice and close. This is it right here, but it is called Bamboo Bloom Hand Paints, and I will show you the label up close too. It is recommending size 9 needles, which I definitely have. It's a bulky yarn, and it is made out of rayon that's made from bamboo, wool, and acrylic. So it's got a little bit of everything in there. But I loved this color palette. I'm going to come and show you. It is purple, lavender, a rose pink, and a couple of shades of gray. And it's really, really pretty. So I'm very, very excited about it. And I think it's going to look really pretty. And here's the label if you want to know what it is. And look it up online. I haven't put it in my Ravelry account yet, but I will. I took the pictures so that I could. But like I said, I just haven't had a lot of time lately. So this is sort of my let's dip my toe in the water and see if I can get into knitting again yarn. You like that? That's what I'm going to call it. So I'm excited about that. Glad that I found it. Amber bought a couple of them as well. So we were talking about possibly getting on FaceTime together and starting it together and getting it going. And since it'll probably take me at least 2 sittings to finish it, I was thinking about making another Stitch Along With Me video that would actually be knitting this time. And if you don't knit, that's okay. You can just sit there and listen to me yabber while you cross stitch, okay? So that's kind of my plan. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I think in the near future, because her and I are scheduled to chat on Sunday or Monday by video, and if I start it, then I will probably be itching to work on it. So maybe next week, possibly. It could be my next video. So we shall see. Anywho, let's see. So that pretty much concludes Florida. I'm trying to see if I forgot anything about Florida. I was flying in and out of Orlando, but luckily about a week before all of that tragedy struck there. So that was nuts, huh? I can't even believe all of that. But I got home very safely, safe and sound. And I returned to Illinois. I had left Michigan, and when I came back, I was in Illinois, just like that. But I actually left from the Chicago airport as well. So came and went from Chicago, but now we were staying near Chicago. Sorry, thirsty. So I got 2 more of these babies to drink today. Only had 3. Gotta keep going. Ooh, which reminds me, I gotta talk about that too. My health and how I've been eating and stuff. But I'll get there. Like I said, I have a lot to talk about today, so I hope you guys are ready. Next, came back to Illinois. And I got home on a Monday evening, and I had plans Tuesday. And I had plans Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday. So, I grew up in the Chicago area, in the suburbs, and I still have a lot of friends there and know a lot of people there. And my parents lived there for a decade before I was even born. So they lived there for probably like 30 years altogether. And so I also know a lot of people that were friends with my parents that lived there. So I had a lot of plans. Had lunch with a lady that was very good friends with my parents back when, until I was up to the age of 7, my parents had an RV, a trailer, in a park in Wisconsin that we went to on the weekends. So we didn't travel in the trailer or take it different places, but we would go there on the weekends, and this other family was in the site next to us. So we saw them every weekend all summer long for many years. The only reason we stopped doing that is that we moved to Florida for a few years, so my parents sold it. So anyway, I got to see her. I hadn't seen her since I was 7. Actually, no, that's not true. I did see her at some point when I was older, but very briefly. So I got to catch up with her a little bit, which was really nice, hear how her kids were doing, and some stories about my parents, so that was really cool. And then I got to spend time with 2 of my best friends in the world. One that I've been friends with since the same time as Amber, when we were all 11, and all 3 of us are friends, and another from high school. And she has twin daughters now. So the last several times I've hung out with her, it's just been either very, very brief or included her daughters or both. And not that any of that is bad, but sometimes you just need your girl time to catch up and really talk about things that you don't always want to talk about in front of your kids. So I got to have some time with both of those friends that very first day, and have some one-on-one time with my friend Stacy. So that was awesome. We haven't really gotten to do that in a while. And then, let's see, the next day we were going to go to Chicago. No, wait, I'm skipping a day somewhere. Anyway, I don't know. It's all kind of becoming a blur now. I spent another day with my friend Sarah, and then that night we had dinner with another couple that was friends with my parents, and they are the parents of one of my friends. And so we had dinner with them. That was awesome. And we had met them before. Brian and I went to see them, or they came to see us in Houston last year. So that was really, really, really nice. And then the next day we were supposed to go to downtown Chicago, but I had a haircut. If you didn't notice, my hair is quite a bit shorter. It's gonna hopefully look cuter when I finally get to put my red back in there, hopefully this weekend. But anywho, because I'm just thinking every time I look down, you guys get to look at my roots. Sorry. But I had a haircut with the hairdresser that used to do my hair from the time I was 12 years old until I left Colorado a decade later. Or sorry, left for Colorado a decade later. So she cut my hair, which was crazy. But then by the time we did that and got to Sarah's house, because she was going to watch our dog while we went downtown, then it was lunchtime, so we went ahead and had lunch, and then it was like 2. You're still an hour and a half from getting downtown, and we realized that the museums we wanted to go to closed at 4 and 5. So there was really no point in going that day. So we ended up just hanging out with Sarah, which actually ended up being really nice. It was a really good day. And then the next day we finally did go to downtown Chicago, which was really good. I did grow up there, but I was a suburbs girl, and every place that I've lived is probably an hour to 2 away from the city. So driving there is a nightmare. Taking public transportation can be expensive by the time you take a train and several buses, or keep having to take cabs. And as much as you'd like to say you can walk everywhere, Chicago is huge. So you can't really walk everywhere unless you are pretty darn fit and have a ton of time and good weather. So I never spent a whole lot of time there. My parents didn't really have too much interest in going into the city, and neither did very many of my friends. So now going back as a grown-up, and not only that, but one that enjoys travel and seeing places, man, I'm going to have to just call this one a loss, tie it in, and start a new piece, because this is getting ridiculous. I keep having to rethread this needle. Anywho, going back now with a travel mindset is totally different, because I'm not a city person. I prefer nature. I'm not one of those people that really think cities are beautiful unless they're like European cities and just really old and have this beautiful feel to them. like, I think Venice is beautiful, and I think some other European cities I've gone to are beautiful, but in America, I'm just not one of those people that think cities are beautiful. I don't have the dream to live in a downtown loft with a view of a skyscraper or some important landmark. I don't consider that a view, and I don't consider it beautiful. So I really didn't know if I would even care that much about seeing Chicago, but I wanted Brian to see it because he's never been, and I thought, hey, this will be fun. It'll be a great day trip, you know? So first of all, we had beautiful weather. It was very, very hot and humid, but it was a nice sunny day, which is about all you can ask for in Chicago because it's not very often that beautiful. So we had very nice weather. We got down there early enough, ate at a great Chinese place that was recommended by our Lyft driver, and then we headed in to go to, and we actually did walk there a couple of miles, but we went to the planetarium first. We both really like stars and planets and space and the planetarium, so that was really cool. I've actually never been to a planetarium ever in my life, despite the fact that I really like that kind of stuff. So that in and of itself was a big achievement for me, and I knew Brian would really enjoy it. I just wish we could have had the kids with us because they would have really enjoyed it too. Racy is very into space. But we went to the planetarium first, and we saw a couple of shows there. We didn't have time to do too much else because we knew there were so many other things we wanted to do before they closed. But Brian got a military discount there, which was awesome, so we didn't have to spend that much. And we saw 2 very cool shows at the planetarium. And then we walked over to the Field Museum. By the time we got there, it was already 4 and it closed at 5. So we were kind of bummed that we were going to have to spend the money to get in and only have an hour to look. You could easily spend all day there and still not really look at everything. On the plus side, military discount there, we got in for free, which was so awesome. And we're just getting used to this whole thing because Brian has only had his veterans card for, I don't know, a couple of months, even though he's been out a long time. So we're just getting used to sort of the perks of that. And that was a really nice one because then we could spend our 1 hour inside there and not feel like it was a waste of our money, you know, or that we had to just rush around and try to see it all because we paid for it. So we got in for free, and I had him pick like the couple of things that he was the most interested in going to look at, and we did, and we did not get very far. So, you know, I would love to go back for another visit, but they closed, and that was that. But what our favorite part was of the day, and I was really looking forward to it too, but we took a boat tour, and my friend told me about it. The other couple we met for dinner that was friends with my parents told us about it. It was a boat tour on the river through Chicago, and it's an architecture tour. So they talk about all of the buildings that you're looking at and the history and the architects and who designed them and why they designed them that way, or what kind of company it was built for and how long that company's been there and all this cool stuff. So listening to it was very interesting in and of itself, but I was blown away by actually how beautiful the city looked that way, because I don't really think that they're beautiful. It's probably the first time, despite the fact I've been to downtown Chicago probably 20 times in my life. Well, more because I went to school there for a couple of months too, but I don't feel like I've ever really seen it, because when you're in it, everything's so big and you can look up and you can look at these buildings, but you don't really see it. And you can be far away and see a nice skyline view, and that's cool. The skyline view is great. But taking this boat tour through the city was really, really neat. And we took a lot of pictures and video. I do not have that video up on Spot the Scots yet because I haven't even gotten to it yet to make it, but it will be coming. And I don't know, it was really cool. Like, I'm so glad we did that because the museums were very rushed and it was hot, and even though those were cool, it was kind of like, meh. And having that experience made the entire day worth it, made the entire trip worth it, to feel like we did Chicago. We saw Chicago. That was really cool. So I loved it, and I think Brian really loved it too. Really glad that we did that. It was like $75 for the two of us, but it was a really awesome experience. Just like the coolest thing we could have done. By the time we finished that, oh, and the time of day that we went too, because we went at like 6 o'clock, and it was June, so the sun was starting to set, and I think it was kind of like that golden hour, so it made everything look even prettier. Taking pictures and video and just enjoying the ride. So that was really cool. I would really recommend to anyone else to do it at that time of day also. I'm sorry, I'm looking at where I left off. Found it. So, beautiful, beautiful tour. And by the time that was done, it was already 7:30, something like that. So we decided to go check out Cloud Gate, also known as the Bean. That's a new addition to Chicago since I left it. I left Chicago in 2005. I don't know when the Cloud Gate was put up. I want to say 09, but I'm not sure if that's right. But I've seen it a few times. I thought it was really cool. I wanted him to see it. So we went and saw that, and the Crown Fountain, which was also a newer addition. And then it was like 9 o'clock, so we decided to head on back to our truck. We had parked the truck outside the city because we didn't want to deal with trying to drive or park that monstrous truck in the city, and you pay so much for parking anyway. So we just decided to use Lyft, and we left it outside the city at a Target and took Lyft ride. So when we were ready to go home, we just called Lyft to come and pick us back up, and we went back to our truck, and then we drove the other hour and a half back to Sarah's place. So it was a really, really good day. It was so nice of Sarah to watch our dog, so we didn't have to worry about spending a long day away from home. So that was just awesome. Let's see, what else? After our Chicago day, I'm trying to think. Oh, the next day was also a really good day. So the next day was a Saturday, and my friend Stacy that I mentioned earlier that has the twin daughters, you know, we kind of got to get together and have our girl time. And now she brought her husband and their 2 3-year-old daughters out to our campground so they could spend the day there, and the girls could go swimming, and we could have a cookout. And we were also supposed to have a campfire, but we didn't quite make it that far. So the girls had a really good time swimming. I was still suffering my Florida sunburn, so I put on SPF 100 to go to the pool. And I still felt like I was frying, like, immediately. It was so terrible, you guys. I feel like I've lost like 8,000 layers of skin in these last couple of weeks. But I shall press on and survive. But we had a really nice time with the girls. It made us even start thinking more and more about starting our family, which is probably why I got off my butt and made this phone call yesterday. But we just had a really, really nice time. So that was really cool. And then Sunday, we spent at, okay, so the same couple that knew my parents, and I was friends with their daughter, that we had dinner with them. They had a gathering at their house and invited both of their daughters. One is the one that I went to kindergarten with and grew up being friends with, and then her older sister. They're both married. They each have 2 kids. So they invited them all over because everybody kind of wanted to see us, but it was very hard to make time for each family individually. So we got to see everybody. Brian met all of them that he hadn't met before. I had never met one of their husbands, so, and a couple of the kids. So that was really, really cool. And the guys all got along, of course, and they were like talking about craft beers and friending each other on some app they all have that has to do with beer. I don't know what these boys do, but it made sense to them. But we had a very, very lovely time. I'm so glad that that happened. And it was just so funny too because they still live in the same house of when we were growing up together. So it's just like, it's like a time capsule. They haven't changed anything in their house at all. It's exactly the same. And it was just a total trip because I haven't really spent time there since my early teen years, like the age Brian's daughter is now, like 12, 13, I don't know. So that was kind of a trip for me. And yay, I just finished this color. Yay! That was just really cool. It was a really nice day. And then that evening, after the get together, I had Brian drop me off at Sarah's house. And then he came back home and I had a sleepover there. But we also had Stacy come over and the three of us hung out and had a girls' night doing our adult coloring books. So if you're not coloring, you're missing out on the craze, man. I mean, it is so much fun to color these adult coloring books. And neither of them had ever done it. One of them had a coloring book and pencils that her mom gave her, and the other one had just never really done it. So she wanted to know if she would like it or get into it before buying anything. So I'm like, well, I have plenty. You can use mine. And I hardly ever do it because it's just not that much fun to do alone. I don't know if I'm going to have to start doing like some videos in color or what, or if I can get more people to video chat with me in color, because it is really fun and relaxing if it's part of like hanging out and chatting with your girlfriends. But sitting down and doing it by myself, I never choose it because it doesn't feel as productive to me, like working on a craft and having this finished product. Now there's a lot of people who color that are really good at it and really artistic, so for them it is like doing this because they're making this beautiful thing. But for me, I'm just coloring like I'm a kid, and it just doesn't feel as productive, I guess. It feels kind of like watching TV but less entertaining. So it's really fun to do with other people, but I just always end up choosing something else when I have me time, either cross stitching or another craft, or I do end up watching TV because I just want to relax. So I'd really like to do more of it. It is really fun, but I just need somebody to do it with. But anyway, the three of us got to have a whole evening coloring together, and it was so much fun. I didn't even think about it until right now that I could have showed you what I was coloring, but it's all put away in the cabinet. But I was coloring this fun little picture of a bunch of different sunglasses, and I got to choose all the different crazy colors and patterns that I was putting on it, and that was kind of fun. And we had a good time. Sarah and I only got like 4 hours of sleep that night because then the next morning she had to babysit her nephew, and we had to be there at 7, and it was over an hour from her house. So we had to get up at 5 after going to bed at like 1:30. So that was kind of awesome. And I am getting way too old to do that. Oh, I don't know why I closed that. I'm acting like I'm done, but I'm not. Probably fairly soon, but I want to at least get my next color going here. I know exactly what I'm going to work on next. I just got to find... I wonder if I have to cut more. Nope, here we go. I keep having to do these really light colors, and they are almost invisible against my fabric. I guess I'm getting used to it, but I really prefer working on the brighter colors. Anyway, we babysat her nephew, but that opportunity kind of came up last minute, but I was really glad because I got to see her sister, who I haven't seen in a while, and I got to meet her nephew, so that was really cool. So we hung out at Starbucks with the baby for about 3 hours, and then her sister came back, and we all went to lunch together, and it was really super nice. It really was. And it had just been her sister's birthday too, so that was cool. And then that brings us all the way to the end, because then Brian and I left the next day to hit the road to start heading to Washington. So we are now, this was our 3rd day on the road. We have 2 more days. I guess today's Thursday because we get there Saturday, but I am honestly losing track. It's kind of nuts. But this is our 3rd day of driving. It's going really well so far. We've been getting like 400 miles a day, which is a lot in an RV. And we've been starting really early so that we can stop early and have time for things like this. So today we stopped by like 2:30. No, sorry, it was probably 3:30, but that was great, because we got to sit and finish our questionnaire stuff for the agency and watch a show, and now I'm sitting here doing this while he's making dinner, and I'm still going to be doing some more stuff this evening. So we really like having that, so it doesn't just feel like endless travel day after endless travel day after endless travel day where that's all you're doing. Not only does it get just like tiring, but it's hard on him as the driver. So it's nice to be able to break up the time and feel like you still have a day besides just the driving part. So we got 2 days left and then we'll be there. But there's a couple of things that I've left out of this entire story, but I wanted to kind of just like go through the timeline first. But there's two awesome things that I want to talk about. Well, I don't know if one of them's totally awesome, but anyway, I've talked to you guys before about losing weight and trying to eat healthy. I think I've mentioned the gluten-free thing. I really honestly can't remember what I talk about in these videos because I just ramble forever. So forgive me if I've already talked about it. But I am trying to be gluten-free now, and I'm not trying to be dairy-free, but I'm trying to be very, very limited on my dairy, like 1 serving of dairy per day max, and some days none. So the last time I really talked about that was 2 videos ago. I would say that now I've been avoiding most gluten for at least 2 months, possibly longer. Might be closer to 3. And then dairy, I started off not really even trying to avoid, and then I was minimizing it, and then I've had to minimize it more and more and more and more, because it turns out with both things, the gluten and the dairy, that once you start getting them out of your diet, your body doesn't really want them anymore. So whereas when I initially was getting off gluten, I only had to avoid the big things like breads, and I could still have like breaded chicken or onion rings or something like that if I wanted to. That is really starting to change because now I'm having a reaction to those things when I eat them. Like my okay, I have a friend whose hands and feet swell when she eats gluten. That's terrible. They get all hot and swollen. But guess what happens to me? Facial swelling. Isn't that awesome? I'll wake up in the middle of the night with my eyes and nose swollen. And it lasts like through a good part of the next day. So now my body is teaching me to have less and less and less of these things because I'm starting to react to it. So I'm still not 100% gluten-free to the point that I will still eat like a sauce or dressing that has gluten in it, but that's about it now. The rest is out of my diet. I don't want to make exceptions for like a cookie or a dessert or a breaded chicken anymore. I had chicken tenders in Florida with Amber, and my nose swelled up. I'm just really sad about this. But at the same time, it's good because as someone who's always struggled with weight, it's kind of nice to have a deterrent from some things that really aren't healthy for me anyway. I just wish that I could still have them when I really wanted them. And the fact that the less I have them, the more I'm going to react kind of makes it an all or nothing thing. Like either have it all the time so that I don't react to it, or just stop having it. So that's kind of the direction that it's going. And with dairy, it's like when I first started having no gluten or, you know, really reducing it, one of my favorite things, if I could find it on a menu somewhere, that was always one of my favorite choices, was a gluten-free pizza. And then I had to start going to light cheese, and now it seems that that's not good enough either. So pizza, out of my life. Unless I'm willing to go cheeseless or vegan cheese, and I'm just not sure that I am. So I can't even eat that. I had some amazing nachos with Stacy at this place called Bahama Breeze, and it was a mixture of tortilla chips and plantain chips, which was super yummy. And it didn't even seem like it had that much cheese on it, and it was the only dairy I had that day, and I did not have any gluten. Facial swelling, I tell you what, it's kind of ridiculous. So I think those things are going to be naturally progressing more and more out of my life. But I am exercising, I am eating this way and feeling a lot better. I'm working really hard on getting all of my waters. And I have no idea if I've lost weight, so don't expect to hear that from me. I don't even have a scale. I'm so over and done with the scale. I've fought with it my whole life. I'm done. And I don't care, really. All I care about is that I'm being healthful, and I will start to see health and weight loss happen. I don't really care what the exact number is. I'll find out when I go to the doctor. But I can tell that my belly is getting a little flatter. I'm not really seeing it in my face yet, which I usually do pretty early on, so I'm hoping that it's like right on the cusp, because once we get to Washington in a couple days, I'm going to start exercising even more. It's a little hard on the driving days, and I'm hoping that in a few weeks I and you will see a difference. So, but I'm just feeling really good. Being off the gluten is definitely helping the way I feel, pain-wise. And I'm also trying to do more than just that. Like, I'm trying to stretch more and use my foam roller and my Theracane more, and do more ginger turmeric smoothies and ginger turmeric teas. And I'm trying to actually do things that help my pain instead of just dealing with it all the time. And I'm feeling a difference in all of that, and that's very encouraging to me. So I just kind of wanted to share that little bit about how I'm doing with my health, because it's exciting to me. And then the last thing, because I also want to end on something kind of cool, but it's sort of been a part of everything I've talked about, but I've conveniently left it out. Have you guys ever heard of bullet journaling? If not, go look it up as soon as I finish this video. First of all, I heard about bullet journaling a little while ago, and the way I heard about it is that it keeps coming up in my YouTube suggestions because of this channel. I have a huge past of journaling. I haven't journaled in a long time because who's got the time? I used to sit and decorate my pages with stickers, and I'm not talking as a child, I'm talking as a teenager and young adult, and sit there and write out, you know, my life events and relationship drama and all that stuff. And I love looking back on it, so I have thought very often about picking up journaling again, or maybe trying it in a digital form or whatever. But I do not have the time. Not with all these other hobbies and all this other stuff I have to do. It's never going to be something I make time for. And with journaling, it's one of those things that you want to capture everything, so then if you miss, like, I don't know, if you get to the point you're busy and you miss a week or two, you just never want to try to catch up. So it didn't appeal to me, but I looked into it because I saw pictures and I saw crafty things and stickers and colors and office supplies, and I love office supplies, so I had to look into it. And I looked up the basics first because I saw all these different videos, but with any like new thing, I want to know how it started, what the basics are, and what it's supposed to be before I start looking at all the variations of what people are doing with it. So I started there, and I'll include the link in the description if anybody else wants to start where I started. And the concept is very basic, like setting up any notebook to be sort of a mixture of your journal, your planner, your to-do list and task list, and a way to record things. It just a little bit of everything. And for some people also like a sketchbook, because if you're artsy, people love to doodle in it. So I was like, okay, that's cool. It kind of sounds like this thing my friend and I used to do that we called an omni-book, like just a book of everything. You could make a list over here of all your favorite songs, or things that you wanted to buy or whatever, and then you could also plan and put a to-do list and whatever. So we kind of used to do something like that, and I enjoyed that. That was fun, but it didn't keep a huge place in my life for a very long time. It also kind of combines the idea of going back to a planner, and I had really been thinking about doing that. I put events on my Google Calendar and do event planning digitally, but I mean, that just never seems to capture everything that you want to keep track of. And so then you have to-do lists everywhere, or you try to put your to-do list on your calendar or whatever. It just always seems kind of unorganized. So now I kind of tie it into the other part of the story, which was Sarah came out to visit me in Colorado in April. And we happened to venture to Hobby Lobby because I was supposed to make centerpieces for my grandma's birthday party. And when we were there, we came across this awesome planner called the Happy Planner, which was actually in the scrapbooking section. If you do any scrapbooking or ever have, you might have heard of Project 365 or Project Life, which is this very simplified scrapbooking system that I have also done in the past and really enjoyed. Well, they came out with a planner that was supposed to kind of combine planning with journaling, and it was really geared towards scrapbookers, because people who like to scrapbook need little snippets to go with their photos to be able to remember it, so that when you're behind on your scrapbooking and you don't scrapbook that photo for months or possibly even years, you've got some sort of record to go off of. Or it can also be used as a very simplified scrapbook all on its own. And I had seen this, and I really didn't know if I was going to go the scrapbooking route with it or what, but I just loved it. It brought back like my inner nerd that loves office supplies. It brought in my inner hobbyist that loves crafting and used to love scrapbooking and loves photography still and memory keeping and all that stuff, and I was just like, okay, I want this. But I've had planners before. Oh yes, I've had many. I've had planner after planner after planner, and they usually don't stick around in my life. But guess what? It was April, and what was coming up soon? My birthday. So my friend, being the awesome friend that she was, said, just put this back. Don't even fret. Don't think about whether or not you should buy it or spend the money. The universe will take care of it. Which was code for, I'm going to buy it for you for your birthday. So I stepped back and I let go of it. And when I saw her now, I knew she was going to be giving me my birthday stuff in person, you know, even though it's been a while since my birthday. But I was like starting to worry, because I'm like, am I going to use this planner, and how bad am I going to feel? Because I knew she was going to buy me all this cool stuff to go with it and everything. So I was starting to get nervous about it. So when I heard about bullet journaling, it immediately came to my mind, and I thought, oh my goodness, I can use the Happy Planner as my bullet journal. And I can kind of combine that, which works better for me, because the one thing I don't really care for in the bullet journal is having to create my own daily, weekly, and monthly sections to record everything, because that's a lot of work that I don't really feel like I have time for. And it's awesome when you want like really tailored customization to keep track of things, but it's just not, I don't know, it's not what appeals to me about it. I would rather be able to just kind of sit down and plan things and journal things and add and stuff. So anyway, I thought, what a great answer. Well, when she decided to give me the Happy Planner, I told her all about bullet journaling, and then she got really excited too. So we ended up back at the store buying stuff for her and buying more stuff for me, and just like wanting to go to town on these planners. Like, we were just so excited. Meanwhile, the third piece to the puzzle is my new friend Kathleen that we met in the campground in Michigan. Her and I had been talking a lot about goals. And then Sarah and I had started talking a lot about goals, and her and I had actually started, we have our own little private group on Facebook that's just me and her, and we started using it to share our daily goals with each other. And I had been really enjoying that, because I felt like I get very caught up in each day's to-do list. And while that's very important, it's kind of like always looking at one piece of a puzzle and never looking at the whole puzzle. And I really liked the idea of thinking about some of my goals and adding little things into my day that were actually making my life better. Eating better, exercising, a lot of other categories as well, but you know, doing things to kind of move forward in life. Well, I started finding all kinds of stuff about that with bullet journaling, of people making different types of goal lists, and this thing called Level 10 Life I started hearing about. Also was seeing really cool lists people were putting in their bullet journals, like how, so they'll have a 2-page spread like when the book is open, and you'll be looking at it and it'll say 2 different things on the sides. So I saw one where somebody put on one side, you know, obstacles that I've been facing, and then the other side was solutions. I've seen one that said, on days that I'm feeling really energetic, here's stuff I want to do. And then the other side said, on days I'm feeling sluggish, here's stuff I want to do. I started seeing all these cool things, and I started feeling really, really inspired. So I'm going to stop the cross stitch here, show you where I left off. A lot of the stitches I did today are super light. I did all these little columns in between, and I just did a little here at the bottom, so you probably can't see too much difference, but I promise I've been stitching the whole time. But I want to stop there. Now this video is already getting long. I've already gone past an hour. So I'm just going to show you very briefly my planner. But I will do a separate video about everything that's in this bag and everything about the way I'm organizing the planner. And I will do that within the next week. Maybe even tomorrow, I don't know. But I just want to give you a brief look. This is my Happy planner, and it is disc bound with these pretty gold discs, which means I can move the pages around. So I already took out, I only kept 4 months in here. I took out all the rest, and they're in a separate book. I wanted it to be skinnier, so I've traded out. It came with a medium-sized disc. I traded out for small because I just wanted it to be a little bit less to worry about. Don't want to be too overwhelmed. I tend to have problems with getting overwhelmed and feeling anxiety, so I don't need to worry too much. But I did have to make my own pages for June because this book did not start until July. And I didn't want to buy a whole pack of empty pages that's like 12 months of empty pages when I only needed one. So I've got a great little pocket at the front, a ruler I stuck up here. I can keep to do stuff in this pocket. I've got just some cute decorative pocket pages here that are a little bit inspirational. Hello, this belongs to Christy Scott. That's me. And then I start moving into some other things. This is a list I created to go with one of my goals about keeping in touch with people. I'll go into this all in more detail in my other video. This is where I've started brainstorming my life goals and where I'm at with them right now with Level 10 Life. So I made a little graph, and I'm going to be brainstorming my goals here. I've started a page about the surrogacy and everything we're doing there. This is some other to-do stuff that I have to take care of. More cute inspirational stuff. And then we get into sort of the meat of it. This is where I started my June. So I started off the month with just 1 through 30 right down the side, so I could put a quick overview of any important events. Over here, this is also related to Level 10 Life. It's the 10 different areas of life and my goals that I set for this month. I did that before I started learning more about it, but I like having some goals to focus on. And then down at the bottom, since we're full-time RVers, I have where we will be this month, and I put the dates and locations of where we will be. Then you have your monthly calendar. We're all familiar with the monthly calendar, and we've all seen it, but this one's different. Now, this is not necessarily what bullet journaling tells you to do, but this is what I decided to do. I said, well, I have events over here, and I'm going to have appointments and events in my weekly, so I don't need my monthly calendar to just be another place to look at my appointments and events. So I'm using that as my bullet journal. So each little square is just little bullets with teeny tiny synopses of what is going on that day or what already happened. I do it at the end of the day. So it's journaling, but it's very concise. It forces me, this is why I chose to do it this way, it forces me to keep it very short because I just have that square. Now the idea with bullet journaling is that anytime you want to, you can tack in a page and elaborate on something. But for now, this is a very good way for me to journal what happens in my life without it taking up a lot of time. It seriously takes me all of 30 seconds to a minute to journal my day at the end of the day. So I'm having, as you can see, no trouble keeping up with that. And already looking back on it is a ton of fun. Then we move into my weekly, and again, I've had to make this from scratch. In the future, I won't. But here's my week, you guys. You can see how crazy it's been. There are a few elements to this that I am loving, and again, I will go over this in more detail. The two most important things I'm loving about it. One is that for each day, it's divided into 3 categories. I also came up with this part on my own, and I already feel like it's changing my life. Instead of just like, here's my appointments for today, and then I have a to-do list over here. Oh, I think dinner might be ready. It's okay, I'm about to wrap up, I swear.
Okay.
The first section is events and appointments. So that's where I actually have things that are at a certain time or somebody's birthday. The second section is to-do list and errands for that day. And the third section is for goals. So that's where I keep track of all those other little things that are actually taking me somewhere in my life. Having that set up is already just changing the way I do everything and making me feel a lot less anxiety. On the side over here, it's called a tracker, and that's a very big thing with bullet journaling, so you can find out more about that. Basically, I put all the habits that I want to track, and I circle the days that I do them. And it doesn't mean that each one needs to happen each day. It's more an observational tactic. But I love coming in there and checking things off that I've done for myself, that I want to do for myself. So it's just great. And that's pretty much all I have so far. But like I said, I will go into this a lot more extensively when I make my separate video. But I just wanted you to know about it and know how excited I am about it, because I feel like it's just changing everything. So I'll put a bunch of links that might help you out. And I hope that you have enjoyed this video yet again. And I will be back soon to either stitch with you or go over my planner. I got so much going on. It's going to be exciting. So I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.